What if your hearing aids didn't just make everything louder and they actually made conversations easier to follow, even in the hardest situations? Because that's where most people struggle. Most people are not struggling in a quiet room, people are struggling in challenging and noisy environments. My name's 𝘹𝗶𝗿. I'm a doctor of audiology, and I've helped hundreds of people in the Toronto area to achieve better hearing and solve complex cases of hearing loss. And today, I want to dive in on the benefits of the Starkey Edge accessories and how they can help you. Now, before we dive in, I want to set something straight right away. Hearing aids are powerful tools and they're incredible, especially hearing aids from the last year. But like a lot of things, hearing aids have limitations. The two most common are going to be distance. A hearing aid microphone can only pick up sounds from so far away, and background noise. And to some extent, that's not a flaw, it's physics. So the question is, what do we do about it? And I think that's where hearing aid wireless accessories come into play. Now, we often do a hearing test. We recommend hearing aids, understanding that that's going to help to significantly improve a person's hearing concerns. However, it's not a pure solve. There are still limitations of that. And so occasionally we get people who come back and say, my hearing aids are great. I can hear in these certain environments, but I'm just still having trouble hearing my wife, hearing my husband, going out to dinner at this specific restaurant. And we have to think, if we can't improve the signal to noise ratio much more with hearing aids, or we can't decrease the distance, then we have to understand, well, what wireless accessory is going to help us to solve this problem for you? So when we're thinking about hearing healthcare, yes, hearing aids are incredible. They're doing an amazing job, but hearing aid accessories are going to take your experience that much further. So today we're going to dive in and we're going to be looking at three Starkey wireless accessories. The first is going to be the Edge Remote Microphone, the Edge Table Microphone, and the Edge TV Streamer. So let's start with our most simple accessory, the remote microphone. Now, it's small, but it's mighty. You clip it on to the person you want to hear, and their voice is transmitted directly into your hearing aids. The remote microphone is one of the simplest but most effective tools you can use. So, the thing I always tell people with a remote microphone is although this is designed to help you hear, this is not designed for you to wear. If you were wearing your own remote microphone and it was turned on and streaming to your hearing aids, you would hear the echo of your own voice, almost to the point of being distracting. So that's the thing I want you to remember is that a remote microphone, although it's there for to help, it's not designed for you to wear. So what it does is it eliminates distance as a barrier and it dramatically reduces the impact of background noise. So instead of sitting in a noisy restaurant trying to hear your husband or wife or friend, simply clip this onto their shirt and you're going to hear the sound of their own voice clearly in your hearing aids while reducing the amount of background noise behind you. We have people who are using this in a restaurant, in the car, even at home. Now, it can get a little bit dangerous, but we have patients who, while they're wearing their hearing aids, they like to sit in the living room and read or do some work, and their spouse is either in another part of the house or the kitchen getting dinner ready. But instead of not being able to talk to each other, they still want to be able to have a conversation. So the person wearing hearing aids often can't have their sound reach around a couple of rooms, or if there's music playing in the background or noise from the vent hood from cooking, those are barriers. So often we'll see people, they have a spouse who's wearing the remote microphone while cooking. And so their voice is being picked up and transferring it to their hearing aids. Or we have some people who keep this upstairs. And so that way, if one person's upstairs and the other person's downstairs, instead of having to make the trek down the stairs, you can pick up the remote microphone, turn it on, and as long as you're within a reasonable distance, the person wearing the hearing aids is going to hear you clearly in their hearing aids. I think there's some pros and cons to that, but uh, no excuses. Now, a couple things to know about the remote microphone. So there's an on and off switch on the side. We have the pairing button on the top. Now, normally this is something that your hearing healthcare provider will pair the remote microphone to your hearing aids. But if it's something that you're buying and don't have a chance to go into the clinic for them to pair, it is very easy to pair at home. Now, it only takes about 3 hours to charge the remote microphone to completion. And then on a full charge, you're going to get about 10 hours of continuous use. Now, of course, if you're turning off the microphone when you're not using it, that's going to extend the battery life. But of course, like a lot of things, the more you're using it, the more frequently you're going to have to charge it. Now, when I clip it on and it's in a vertical mode, it's going to be picking up my voice directly. And there's 3 microphones on a remote microphone. You also have the option to lay it flat on a table. So that way, if you're in a small group, let's say you and 2 other people, instead of only one person wearing the remote microphone, you can lay it out and pick up both voices as well. Now, the other part about the remote microphone from Starkey is it can actually act as a remote control as well. So when it's turned off, so we're not using it as a remote microphone, it's then being used as a remote control. So we have the volume control. While you're using the remote microphone, it's going to adjust the volume of the remote microphone being sent to the hearing aids. When this is turned off, you can still use it as a remote control for your hearing aids, but a long push then actually allows you to change programs. So although it's a remote microphone, it can actually be used as a remote control as well. But to summarize, I think a remote microphone is an excellent tool. We're reducing the distance, right? And we're also reducing the background noise. And that's addressing both of the most common complaints with hearing aids is hearing aid at a distance and hearing in background noise. So with your remote microphone, you should be able to hear me here clearly in your hearing aids. Now, you should also be able to hear me here clearly in your hearing aids. And you should be able to hear me here clearly in your hearing aids because a remote microphone is cutting down distance. Now, when it comes to TV, a lot of the times people think the only solution is, well, let's turn up the volume or let's turn on closed captioning. But sometimes making everything louder doesn't mean it's going to sound more clear. And oftentimes, when sounds become too loud for people with hearing losses, they can actually become more distorted. So remember, louder doesn't always mean more clear. Now, of course, I think anybody who's wearing hearing aids, as long as they're sitting in a reasonable distance, so we're not sitting a football field away from our TV, your hearing aids alone are going to significantly help you hear the TV more clearly. However, if we're finding that there's improvement, but we're still having some difficulty, that's when we're going to think about a TV streamer. Now, in all honesty, out of all accessories, I think a TV streamer is something every person who's wearing hearing aids should have. So, what does a TV streamer do? So, similar to like a remote microphone or having your hearing aids paired to your smartphone, it's taking the audio directly from your TV and streaming it into your hearing aids. So, instead of your TV sending the sound through your speakers, which sometimes those speakers are on the back of your TV up against a wall, then traveling over the space of your room, then into your hearing aid microphones, the TV streamer is bypassing all of that and going directly into your hearing aids, which means that sounds are going to be more clear. So if you're sitting there with another person, they can adjust the volume on the TV, and that's not going to impact the sound that's coming out of your TV streamer. In the same way, if you go into your Starkey app and you adjust the volume on the TV streamer, that's not going to impact what the other person is hearing. So with a TV streamer, that means no echo, no distortion, no battling with room noise or sitting closer to the TV or not being able to watch TV together. Now, there's some really exciting features about the new Edge TV Streamer because it becomes equipped with OraCast. Now, this is probably one of the smallest TV streamers available. There is a simple pairing button that oftentimes your hearing healthcare provider will connect your hearing aids to your TV streamer before you leave the clinic. Or it's something when you get home, it's very easy to pop your hearing aids in the charger, take them out of the charger, push the pairing button, and within seconds, your hearing aids are going to be connected. Now, one of the really nice features about this TV streamer is with 𝘹𝗋𝗁 hearing aids, we now have the option to auto stream sound. So what does that mean? So it means that as soon as you turn on your TV, if your TV streamer is connected, it's going to automatically start streaming to your hearing aids. It's a feature that I've wanted personally in a TV streamer for a long time. In the past, one of the difficulties with streamers is people had to remember to turn them on. So in the past, you would turn on your TV. Then you either had to push the button on the back of your hearing aid or go into your app and turn on the TV streamer. And so we often got calls being like, I turned on my TV, but my streamer's not going into my hearing aid. And then we basically missed the step where we then had to go activate the TV streamer. Now it's set to auto stream. Seems simple, but to me, I think it's a game changer. And you have a range of up to 50 feet. So one of the things I like best about a TV streamer and my patients always comment on is I can turn on my TV, I can pop around the house doing different things and not miss out. Now, of course, if we're adding floors or walls, we're going to reduce that distance, but up to 50 feet of streaming, which is incredible. Now, OraCast in a Starkey TV streamer. What does that mean? Well, first, OraCast is going to allow for a better audio streaming, and it's going to reduce the amount of power that's being used on your hearing aid batteries. But the other part is, with OraCast streamers, we're not separated by hearing aid manufacturers now. So for instance, you have a Starkey Edge TV streamer. I have a pair of hearing aids from another manufacturer that have OraCast in them. I can connect to your TV streamer. So you could be up at your cottage or having everybody over at your house and someone wants to watch a movie. We don't have to worry that they can't connect their hearing aids to your TV streamer. So OraCast is great because we're not necessarily manufacturer dependent on some of these accessories. Now, of course, your hearing aids have to have OraCast in them in order to connect, but it frees up opportunities. The last part, an infinite number of hearing aids can be paired to this TV streamer. You can have one, you can have 100. Because of the OraCast abilities, we have an infinite number of people who can connect to it. And lastly, it also has auto stream recovery. So what does that mean? So I'm sitting and watching TV and I'm wearing a pair of 𝘹𝗋𝗁 hearing aids. And if you haven't gone to watch our review on the 𝘹𝗋𝗁, it's linked in our bio. So I'm sitting and I'm watching TV with my 𝘹𝗋 hearing aids. They're paired to my phone. My phone always takes priority. I get a phone call that comes through. My hearing aids are then going to pause the TV streamer. I have a whole conversation, and as soon as I hang up the phone, auto stream recovery takes place where then the TV automatically starts to stream back into my hearing aids without me actually having to go back and reactivate it. So with the TV streamer, you're hearing the dialogue the way it was meant to be heard, and you can control the volume without impacting anybody else in the same room. Then there's the table microphone. And I think this is where things start to get really interesting for social settings. Group conversations or hearing in a noisy restaurant is one of the most challenging situations, even for people with normal hearing. The table microphone helps to seek to improve that. Now, we often think about how much can hearing aids improve our signal to noise ratio, so our ability to hear in noise. It's a pretty mind-blowing statistic. Using a table microphone is going to give you the improvement of about 16 decibels. That's significant. Now, just like the remote microphone, this is meant to help you hear, but it's not designed for you to use it. And we can use the table microphone in two ways. We can use it very similarly to a remote microphone, where when the device is turned on, and connected to a pair of hearing aids, if it's in a fixed direction, we're going to see one microphone become active. That's going to mean that it's upward facing, picking up my voice. The table microphone is going to sit in either the middle of the table, or let's say you're in a large meeting, it's going to sit on the opposite side of you. It's going to identify who's speaking and automatically shift which microphones become active to pick up the sound of their voice. So instead of trying to track voices from all different directions, the microphone is doing all of the work for you. It's a completely different listening experience. It's less effort, it's less fatigue, but far more clarity. So when you turn it on, the default automatic mode is the 5 microphones in front of you are going to be active. Now, the thing I want you to remember is that the USB-C port should always be facing away from you. You want to make sure that the USB-C is not facing towards you. So those 5 microphones become active. You have the ability to pick and choose which microphones you want to become active by tapping on each one. And you can have 2 voices actively streamed at the same time. And so there's actually a total of 8 microphones in a table streamer. So the big takeaway here is this. If you're only using hearing aids and you're still having trouble, it's because we may be asking them to do something that they're not designed to do, or just have limitations. Accessories like these don't just improve sound, they solve problems. I already have a Starkey Omega AI hearing aid connected to this table microphone. So there's a few things that we're going to look at. When we hold it up, we're going to see there's the power button. We have our up down for volume control. And then we have our USB-C charging port. The one thing you want to keep in mind is you always want the USB-C facing away from you, because those 5 microphones are going to become active. So as somebody who is receiving benefit from the table microphone, you don't want one of those 5 microphones to be facing towards you. 5 microphones in front is the default mode. Now you also have the ability to customize your microphone mode. So if I bring it closer, we can actually go around and tap on and off which microphones we want to be active. So that way you can customize your table microphone based on your environment. The table microphone is also excellent in the sense that you can have 2 voices actively streamed at the same time, giving you, now this is where a table microphone really differentiates itself from a lot of accessories. A table microphone is giving you up to 16 decibels of a signal to noise ratio improvement. This is huge. This is something where you can put this on a table in a noisy restaurant. You can have multiple table microphones across a meeting table, but you can also have a table microphone in a fixed position, and then we'll see only one of the lights becomes active, working very similarly to a remote microphone. Again, you can see we can activate all. They solve problems. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like our page, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share this with somebody who's still having trouble hearing in background noise, or just can't watch their favorite show the way that they want to. And we need to start thinking beyond just turning things up, because better hearing isn't just about volume.